So she said no to this. I know it's very surprising. People lining up around the block for this hairy, awkward individual. Anyway, it was so funny. She comes up to me and she gives you the classic line, "You're a great guy." And I really respect what you had to say. But, and I was just like, oh man, I knew it. But you see, the cool thing was, in that whole time, I'd been fasting before I even started asking her out. I had fasted for 3 days. I didn't eat food, and I was praying a lot over Psalm 31, which is this classic passage about a godly woman. And I was just, that when we went out to eat, or when we went out to get coffee, I kind of was able to share some things that stood out to me about her, and just wanted to encourage her. And the Lord, throughout my time of fasting and prayer, had kind of put on my heart this desire just to ask her out. And just like, I didn't, and in honest to goodness, I couldn't have cared whether she said yes or no. I didn't care. I just had to ask her so I can get an answer, so I can move on with my life. And so I finally asked her, and I said, and she said no, and I gotta say that was hard, but I felt like I was prepared. I was ready for it, and I didn't have anything left for that to say. I didn't have anything left after that, just because we were good friends, and I was just gonna try and treat her as one of my friends. And about a month passed, and right around after that month had been done, I got a text, and this text was from my wife. Now, but from Jess, and it said, "We need to talk." I don't know about you guys, but when someone says we need to talk, like in my history with the different girlfriends that I had in the past, anytime they said that, it was game over. There was nothing left. I was doing something wrong, and so I, in my panic, just started freaking out. I started going, okay, well, I must be like really coming on too hard still. She's gonna sit me down and be like, yo, you need to back off, perv. You need to give me some space. And so she's like, I'm like, and so I casually text her back, yeah, sure. Where you want to meet up and talk? Because texting reveals no emotion, and so I can hide all my fear behind a casual text. And she said, well, let's hang out at Donut Parade. And so I went to Donut Parade, and I got there early, and I got some coffee, and I got my 2 plain cake donuts, and I was just so overwhelmed that I just couldn't eat the donuts. But I drank a whole pot of coffee before Jess even arrived. And Jess sits down across from me, and she says, I apparently didn't make eye contact with her the entire time we chatted. And she essentially says, I have been struggling for a month, and I just didn't want to talk to God about it, and I was really wrestling and in a very dark place, and you were awesome, you were cool, and I just finally talked to God, and I just gotta get one thing clear. I am not saying that I'm going to marry you, but I think we need to go out, because I feel like I gave you the wrong answer before, but I would like to go out with you. And that's a little, that's not obviously like word for word what she said, but I didn't even realize that when I asked her out, I essentially said, would you marry me? I didn't realize that at the time. I was just trying to say, you're a wonderful person, I want to be committed, and blah, blah, blah. But I apparently said, the next person I want to date, I want to marry, would you like to date me? Which essentially is me asking, would you like to marry me? But I I didn't just, yeah, you know, I have a misconnection somewhere between here and here. But I remember sitting there with the coffee and like shocked. Like that conversation did not go at all how I had planned. I was trying to think about how to get new friend groups, what people I had to stop hanging out with because I had to give Jess her space, and I wanted to let her take the friend group that, because we were in a tight friend group. There was a good group of us that were all together, and had to process through, like, I don't want her to have to sacrifice or find a new friend group. I'll be the one to do that. And she's like, no, I want to go out with you. And essentially not because she wanted to, but because God said so. And the best wingman you could ever ask for. You know what I'm talking about? I just was like, do I have to ask your dad? And she's like, no. So we walk out, and I remember like just going like, I walked in thinking I needed to like leave this state. Not really, and here I am with the most gorgeous girlfriend in the world, because she technically asked me out. Jess and I went to Moody Bible Institute, and we were both popular at college for different reasons. I was friends with everybody, and you couldn't go to Moody without being my friend, because that's just who I am. And Jess was popular because she was part of student council and involved in a lot of things, even though she's an introvert and not really, not one to try and put herself out there. She's humble. And so I remember sitting in what was called chapel. It was kind of like a small church service throughout the week, and she was sitting next to me, and I was like, time to flex these muscles and put that arm around her, and a bunch of people started talking about it afterwards, and I can't tell you how much fun that was, just to be like, yeah, that's right, because guess what, I don't think I said this at all at any of the story times so far. But I'll tell you here, there was like, at Moody Bible Institute, there was like the standings or the underground, and like guys all knew, like, you know, there was a few girls that were on the top shelf, hard to reach, like would be the best wives ever list, and we had names, and Jessica was on that list, and she was one of those people that, like, blessed be the man who was able to I don't know what the word would be. I think it would, you know, we're broken people, okay? Whoever thinks Christians are supposed to be perfect, we're not, obviously. You guys watch my videos and you can tell that I'm not perfect. But we're just like, whoever can wrangle those people into being your wife is going to, like, those would be blessed men, which is obviously a terrible perspective, but we're all terrible, so get off my porch. But I'm thinking too much about this. But I was just like, this was, and here I am with the top shelf woman. I did nothing to achieve this. There's no way that and she didn't even like me. She didn't like me. It took her 2 weeks of us dating for her to be like, alright, I kind of think he's alright. Like, he's alright. I like him now. 2 weeks! 2 weeks! But how did she say yes? Wait for part 4? Oh! Oh, it just gets cringier.